Thank you.
No, thanks very much. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Calleary on his appointment, which is a great appointment. I know he has served in that department before, so he will hit the ground running. And I wish him every success. First of all, I welcome this bill, but I think the context that I would like to put on it is that the record of FDI in Ireland has been exemplary, and I think that's something that we should also stress in bringing in this sort of regulation. The IDA's professionalism is second to none, and the quality of investment that they've brought in is outstandingly high. And I fear that some people in this House understate the contribution that FDI has made to the success of our economy, and never miss the opportunity to attack our FDI sector, blaming them for our electricity shortage because of their investment in data centres, or laying blame on them for alleged unfair work practices in other countries that are not directly linked to FDI in many cases. So I think we need to value what has been achieved by the FDI sector. Even since 2011, when I had the privilege to be appointed minister, at that stage, since 2011, and that's just 10 years ago, there's been an 88% increase in employment in IDA companies. That's 130,000 extra people employed in those companies, and a multiplier which is undisputed of more than 1 for 1. So there's 130,000 other jobs in the economy as a result of that. Their wage levels are 57,000, exceptionally high on average, much higher than the average wages in other sectors. But they've also been very instrumental in modernising the approaches in our economy, in lifting the levels of training, of management experience, of start-ups, and they've created an environment that has been absolutely invaluable to the success of the Irish economic model. And I think we shouldn't lose sight of that. And of course, it is necessary that we recognise that in a world where I suppose data is becoming the new source of wealth, and the control of data is often hard to track, we need to be much more conscious of regulatory controls and the fear that they get into wrong hands. I think the control for political purposes of strategic infrastructures is not an idle fear. We have seen it time and again, not only in aggressive and often criminal cyber attacks, but also through investment channels that are ones that deserve scrutiny. So I think the intention of this bill is very welcome, and I see it as copper fastening our confidence in the quality of our FDI infrastructure, rather than in any way casting some doubt on the quality of the work of the IDA or the type of investment that they have cultivated. And looking at the experience in other countries where this type of instrument is in place, it shows that only 1% of transactions that have come under scrutiny have been blocked. So this is not a widespread practice, but it's one that we need to move early to prevent its taking hold by those who would seek to undermine the infrastructures that support democratic societies like our own. And I think it does deserve more thinking among the political class and those who seek to regulate new industry about how the models that we have developed and how they contrast to some other countries where there is complete political control of media and information flows and data among citizens. We need to value the type of environment that we have here, but not pretend that it is devoid of threat. The significant flows of data and the lack of regulatory oversight in many cases of how companies who control these, the rules and principles that they apply, is something that regulators the world over in open democratic societies like our own have to take more seriously. We do not want to see what I heard one political commentator describe as political entrepreneurs exploiting the nature of data management in democratic countries like our own. So I think it is right that we are considering not only the investment by entities who might seek to distort the infrastructures that we depend on, but also to think more strategically ourselves about those. And just the last comment, I think there is, and I hear it every day in this House, blame being applied to companies who seek to have data centres. Of the IDA, 275,000 employees, 158,000 of those are in either ICT or business services. They depend on data centres to be the infrastructure that underpins them. And let's be blunt, the EU have consciously created an emissions trading system that promotes the location of those data centres in the countries where they are most efficient, and that is Ireland. The failure of our energy system to meet the demand, which is an increase of demand of 8% in 5 years, is not one that we should be pointing the finger at data centres. It is a failure in the case of commitments made to deliver additional power to our infrastructure, the failure by entities to deliver them, who contracted to do so in auctions. And I think it's all too easy for people to point fingers at others who invest in good faith in critical infrastructures that the EU recognises are efficiently delivered in Ireland and which do not fall onto the Irish inventory of carbon emissions. Our obligations do not relate to data centres because they are in the emission trading system. So I think we need a little bit more honesty in some of these debates about the role and importance and the needs of multinational companies in Ireland.
Thank you very much, Deputy Bruton.